Live tonight, Architects of Humanity. Like say, what's up? The only guarantee in life, as we know, is death. That's what it is. Mr. X, brother, thank you for the support. I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, man. Oh, here he is. Let me see. Hey, what's up, Mr. X? How's everything?
Good to see MD. Hey, great topic as usual. Topic I'm definitely interested in and like to give my 2 cents when I want to hear your introduction though first, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, man. Space Monkey, what's up, man? He says some people you can't reach in the world. They were meant to be blind abusers of truth to put an illusion in front of people. Yeah, brainwashers are easy to spot. They definitely, yeah, you can't let your mind doze off. You got to stay vigilant in thought. Yeah, to see the psychological manipulation. You're right about that, man. Yeah. What's your take, Mr. X?
Well, we're talking about what happened, the only guarantee in life, and that being death. That's the topic.
Yes.
Okay, well, comes from my belief system, and it's not based on something I figured out on my own because I could never do that. It's based on what I believe was revealed to me. And basically, for me personally, and now this isn't the case for everybody, but I'll basically be going back to where I came from. I was there before for a long time. I'll be heading back there, and I'll be a different, shall we say, spirit than I was the first thing before I arrived on Earth. And this was the life, I guess, molding and building of character, and just going through these tribulations of the physical world. Something that, when you're in spirit and you've never come here before, you think it's easier. You think it's something that you can handle, but you have to experience it. And you definitely, it's not as easy as you thought, maybe, as when you were in the spirit world. You're always looking in from the outside in, um, but it's there to change you. That's for sure. Now, my belief system is we never had a choice to come here, but we did have a choice in the type of life we would lead. That
Mm.
we did have a say so in that, and some people chose a harder life specifically because they just didn't want to be that attached to this world. They didn't want to love this world. They wanted to come back to they wanted to go through the hardship and then come back. But I think they thought it'd be easier said than done. I mean, I might be wrong about that, but they probably didn't know how tough it would really be, when they were in spirit. But that's my belief system. My key word is belief. I don't plan to prove it, but and it's also something I didn't figure out on my own. I believe it was given to me. It's not something I can bear.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. It's what you believe. It requires no proof.
Yep.
You state it as a belief, and that's what a lot of people. Hopefully, they'll learn from you explaining that. So when they bring up something that they think is a fact, but is really a belief, maybe this will help them understand that it's basically a belief.
That's right. I
So,
can't prove it in any way, shape, or form. I don't claim it to be scientific in any
yeah.
way.
And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as people would claim that, we see
Mhm.
that they don't want to do that with the evolution belief.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
That. And I'm not here to push my beliefs on anybody either. And if you don't accept my beliefs, that's fine with me. I'm
mhm,
not going to ad hominem attack anybody who doesn't accept it.
yeah. So that shows that it's a peaceful belief, a
That's right.
respectful belief, unlike some others that we see that will push and
And it's a
try
confident belief too. If I felt like there was major flaws in it, or I didn't fully believe in it, I would be very defensive when somebody attacks it. If I was
mhm,
trying to defend a lie, I'd be very defensive.
mhm.
If I was a part of a cult, I would shut down any other, like we saw with crazy numbers.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, any other opposing views, I would shut down immediately. It's not a cult. It's not a science. It's not something I'm trying to push on anybody. It's just this is mine. I share it with people. They can like it or dislike it. I don't particularly like it or dislike it either. It's not something I like. It's just something I believe what was revealed to me. It's not that I really like this scenario or anything like that. It's because all I'm saying is I go back to where I came from. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's nothing like I'm not trying to like. There's nothing tempting here. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
dangling something in front of somebody's face. It's
yeah.
yeah.
You're stating what you believe is basically, so it's kind of like, in a way, it's similar to the Aborigine belief that this is the the place that we came to that is not the original. So we came from an original place to this. Like they say, they come from the dream world, come
Hmm.
to this, and then they go back to the dream world. So you're saying that you come from an original space, which you were before this, and you will be after this, and this now serves as a type of learning experience, or just an experience, some type of saying, hey, I went there, I experienced it, or maybe even a type of enhancement in some way to.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not even saying where I came from is going to be like you're going to get everything you want. Life is going to be. I'm not saying any of that. To be honest with you, I'm not even. I barely have any remembrance of it. I just know I came from there. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that where we're going back to is going to be this wonderful, beautiful place, and you're going to have all the riches and all
Mhm.
the pleasures you've ever wanted in your life. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying you're going back to where you came from. Our existence did not begin in this physical body. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. It began long before this.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to explain it to a friend earlier today about the spirit, or if he would rather a better word, consciousness. Some people, whatever word makes them feel comfortable, the non corporeal has to be first in a logical sense.
It
And
does. It
the
really does.
physical, yeah, but some people are just, I mean, it's really, it's kind of entertaining when somebody literally tries to tell me that the brain produces chemicals to create consciousness.
No, that's retarded.
As yeah, it just, and you see the way they say it, just scraping for some type of explanation that they know is made up.
Yeah,
And
because please show me the laboratory scientific proof that
yeah,
that's occurred. It
yeah.
doesn't exist, and so that's a
Hmm.
belief. Thank you for your religion. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly. And even now, I tell them, I say, if they find something or do something in a lab, I still can't trust them with their record of lying so much. I'd have to really look into the experiment, like we've looked into just other archaeological stuff and seen how it's been a lot of lies.
Well,
And
look at the universe too. I mean, you know science better than I do, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. But for how could something physical, especially when it's subject to the laws of entropy, that it degrades over time, create this universe? It can't. It had to be now something of a non-physical essence that's not subject to the laws of physics.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of like in a way that H2O creates water in a way. And that's just a very crude form, because there could be something else that we don't know about that aids the process, and hydrogen, two molecules of hydrogen and a molecule of oxygen creating water in and they try to say water has three states: gaseous, solid, and liquid. But there's also a fourth state of water that again, they claim to know everything, but if they did, they wouldn't have only stated that water has three states. But now the fourth state, it was a while ago, is when water melts. When ice is melting, there's a stage in between the frozen to the liquid that is a different state. And it's actually a very healing state. So this is something I noticed in some of my relatives that passed, that they would drink stuff with ice, like water, and put ice. And I think they knew without knowing that the water with ice in it gives you three states, where it's the ice, the water, and then that blending, melting part, which is another stage of what, which is a healing state. So there's just so much we know. So like how hydrogen and oxygen create the water, there could be other things that combine together to create other things like that. And then this is just a speculation. Space Monkey says, I chose the name Simple Jack on his profile for reasons just popped into his head. Sendros. I don't link up law. I don't get that. I've been to Chicago a long time ago. Was my regret sharing real truth to people who abused it? And yeah, that's a very important thing, not to share it with everybody. Like,
Right.
A lot of people, yeah, they're not really worthy of our time and effort. That's why I do these streams, so people that feel similar and want to learn and speculate and talk about things can come on and also learn, like when the trolls attack, to learn, not just to go and attack them back, and just to say, look, thanks for spending so much time thinking about me.
Hmm.
um yeah, it just Space Monkey is, he's letting it on. Miles, good to see you, man. Yeah, it's we had communicated through symbols in the past, like aliens would, do not numbers. Um,
Got me on
yeah,
that one.
yeah, I guess, I mean, I
Mm.
don't understand the last part, like aliens would do not
Don't
numbers.
I there.
Yeah, I think maybe he wrote it a little wrong. Like looking at a Dali, Salvador Dali or Van Gogh painting, yeah, and reducing it to language, to numbers, to nothing. Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, death, it's, as far as, if people look it up, the mysteries of death or something like that, we cannot know or even conceive of what death would be like, but we can have beliefs about it. And even something that goes beyond belief, which might be a thought, but we can maybe get a little closer into the genetics of how the physical was created. Just
Hmm.
the way you create a cup or a vase to hold the water from a river, you want to scoop up the water and hold it in the cup or the vase, is the same way the body holds the consciousness or the spirit.
Hmm.
So the water had to be before you made the cup. You're not going to make the cup and then, you know, why would you make a cup if water didn't exist already?
Yeah.
If you're going to hold water.
Hmm.
So the the spirit verse that fills, it fills more than just the human body. We see it animation throughout everything that is what we would call living, even things that we thought weren't living that are now seen to be somehow living. I mean, look at the way crystals grow. That's, we're not really sure what that is, but to think that we're the only consciousness is pretty arrogant. Space Monkey says, I mean, our communication methods of the past, symbols, advanced ways to tell our history. So, yeah, symbols and hieroglyphs and stuff like that seem to hold much more information than just a letter, which
Hmm.
usually needs to be combined with other letters to make a word. And yeah, the symbols, there's something about symbols, but even beyond that, that I would say there's other things too, just thoughts, sounds, even, without a written word, like a vibration maybe could convey some type of knowledge to us. I mean, there's so much that we don't know. To speculate this is really where the learning happens. The book, the the Power of Sound, is a really good book. I think Michael Leeds wrote it, and when I read some of it years ago, I still have it. It gets really deep with how the sound, how we need blood going to our ears to protect us from loud sounds. And,
There you go.
so like if you exercise and you wear headphones, or if there's loud music, you risk long term hearing damage more, because the exercise is requiring the muscles and other part of the body to hold the blood that would normally be protecting the ear from
Mm.
the loud sound. So this is something that it's very easily missed, but when thought about, it could be like, wow, I didn't notice that. And so it gets really, really deep when you think about the sound like that. And then also he touched upon the baby, the fetus in the womb of the mother is hearing everything. So it's like we think that the fetus is just asleep growing, even though the baby kicks as early as 4 or 5 months in the belly. You could feel it. I've felt it. It's like, wow. When you think about something like that, and then you say, wow, this baby is hearing, this fetus is hearing everything, experiencing it from, matter of fact, probably hears it even more because it's hearing it from within the amniotic fluid, which is
Hmm.
a liquid that could amplify sound, most likely. I mean, who knows? Or maybe they say sound travels slower underwater. So who knows if it could have more of an effect, less of an effect? We're just not sure. And these Frankenstein experiments that they do, uh, you know, you're not really going to get a good a proper answer with that. It's like studying a lion in the zoo. You're not going to get the answer. You're going to get more of an answer of studying something in the wild. It's like studying a person's behavior in a room. You're not going to get their true behavior unless they don't think you're looking at them. When people what people do when they think nobody is around, that's their real behavior.
That's right.
So this is something that we are taught without being taught to lie about and to, say, okay, I'm behaving good. It's like, well, are you really? Are you really a good person? What you do when nobody's around really says a lot about your character.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and the thing about, pregnancy, what you were mentioning there, I wonder if they imagine if women, when they got pregnant, developed a window that you could see the infant growing. You know what I mean? I wonder how many of them would go and do that procedure where they get rid of the infant. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. You're
If they could
absolutely
see
right.
it, it's the fact that we can't see it. Everybody justify, oh, it's okay, it's fine, it's your body, your choice. But I bet they would feel differently if they could actually see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a human. I mean, no matter which way you slice it, it's a human. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I would think part of that maybe the fetus needs the darkness. There's something about the darkness to create the melatonin,
Hmm.
just like when we sleep at night. But also, like, I think if women just watch the procedures,
Yeah,
it would make about at least half of them not go through with it. And
I
then you
agree.
would still have that 50% that are staunch. Like when I wrote in Nightmare on Sperm Street, there was a girl that I think I put her account in the book when she went into the clinic for the sixth time. And the people were like, come on, are you serious again? Like they kind of, she was telling the story of how she, she just looked at it like it was just a procedure.
Hmm.
And six. And then there was the lady that had the most, I think it was like 15,
Oh,
12 to 15 in a 20-year period or something, or 23-year period. And it was amazing because she ended up, I think, having one or two kids after all of those procedures. And it just, I mean, it just makes you wonder, like, holy smokes, man. I don't, I mean, that's some serious stuff when you think about it. It's like
hmm,
it affects you. It's known to scatter the cells more throughout the body. So now it's embedded in the woman forever.
right.
And I've heard women talk about feeling the aura of some type of spirit, possibly from the baby that they had the procedure to stop gestating, just being there in like the spirit or in the ether or something like orbiting. I've heard some very, very odd stories where I could see the look in the woman's face when they would tell me about it. A few different women,
Hmm.
uh, like they just had that look, like they would stare into space, like if they did the right thing. Some don't question it at all because not everybody's the same, you know.
But a
Yeah.
lot of women get very depressed after having that procedure done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There
Okay.
was a girl who some, but I know, one, there's an instance where she ended herself,
Oh, really?
yeah. And
Yeah.
this teacher was talking about it. She was a doctor, actually, giving a seminar, and she said, yeah, she goes, that's why they need to have support. And they were so afraid because it was a Christian uh, doctor. She's a medical doctor, Dr. Vicky Thorne. And I think the video is still on YouTube. She does some pretty good work, pretty, religious, but
Hmm.
I mean, if it would have helped the girl save herself,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. And because a lot of that strictness, too, I mean, can cause somebody to do that. I have a cousin, she's a Presbyterian, and you know, they get very it's like, whatever happened to forgiveness,
Sure.
if
No,
a woman,
absolutely.
yeah, if she's pregnant and she's, you know, not married, it's like, and young, you can't really, if it's a consensual thing, it's like there's a reason things happen.
Hmm.
And, you try to figure it out. But sometimes when people get very religious, they're very quick to judge.
But that's hypocritical right there.
Yeah,
That because if they claim to be Christian, then they're not
yeah,
following Christ, obviously, because he never would have preached that.
yeah,
So it's again, it's hypocrisy in the religion. They're not
yeah,
practicing what they preach. I mean, they have their own version of Christianity that has nothing to do with Christ, because
yeah,
that's not what was preached. He even said to forgive your enemies, for crying out loud, let alone your kids. You know what I'm saying? you know. But
hmm,
that's what a lot of people go to churches for. It's a pride thing. It's an ego thing, and it's to look good. You know. Yeah.
yeah,
That's.
yeah, really. And her, congregation was a lot more strict. I think it was Catholic, and they still, it's like they're, I have to look up the statistics, but they would be quick to have an unwed mother. They wouldn't advocate the procedure, but they would advocate the adoption.
Mm,
And that, again, can affect somebody dramatically. Space Monkey says focal point of consciousness also near death. If we end up in the darkness or fly into the light before the thread gets cut, the lifeline between the world or the worlds, yeah. I mean, I wonder. I wonder what death really is. I mean, I
hmm
don't know
You're going to
where.
get to see. You're definitely going to get your answer.
Yeah.
We're all
It's
going to get our answer.
yeah, it is the
All
only
going to get our
guarantee.
answer.
And it I mean, because I wonder, I would love to live this life again and try to just live it again. And if somebody were to say, okay,
Hmm.
you can't do anything like, lotto or whatever, you can live it again, but you live it again where I would appreciate people more.
Hmm.
Like if somebody or some being that had the power to say, okay, I'll let you live the life again with knowing what you know,
Right.
but you can't use what you know to like how these people with the crazy numbers, instead of using the numbers to try to figure out the mystery of life, no, they use it for some just ridiculous, for monetary gain, to
Sure.
scam people, to crazy numbers. So it shows you that when, if they had the power to predict something, they would use it for the wrong reason,
Hmm.
because of their greed and their immaturity. So with this, it would be like, no, 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 you're not going to go back and then, figure out like, oh, I'll capitalize and invent something. No, you live the life, not saying you have to live the exact life, but you could say, all right, I would go into a different profession that would be more maybe lucrative.
Hmm.
But the main thing is the treating of people,
Sure.
because we see now everybody that's gone or going, we start to be like, wow, that really shows me how fragile and precious life is.
Yeah.
It's like reading a book, but you can't turn the page back.
That's right.
And it really makes you appreciate the page that you're reading right now,
I
because
mean, we've
that,
all felt that way, MD. I feel the same way about what if I had gone this way or that way, the differences in my life. So I'm on board with you with that, but I think it's more that when we get to the spiritual realm, we'll be more. That'll be our learning right there. That's what we take from this lifetime, this experience, this regret that we had, things we wish we would have done when we were younger. We'll understand it better as spirits then.
yeah. Because I mean, even if we were to get a chance, what I would think is, okay, well, how many times am I going to want to live it again? Living it
Yeah.
again just one good time is fine,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's what it would be, for me to say, okay, I'm okay with that, and you feel fulfilled. I think it's the lack of satisfaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. I'm 100% on board with you with that. There's so many things that I look back on my life. It's like, wow, if it had gone this way, things would have been this way. And I think I would have been happier. But, at the end of the day, it's not your fault. You don't control your destiny. When you're a kid, you're under the power of other people. So you can't blame yourself. It's just the situation, and that's how it ended up, beyond your control. You came into this world and you were subject to whatever situation you were born into.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
And it might be a good exercise for people to write down what they would have changed in their life.
Hmm.
Like to say, okay, you can go back and you can go through your life. What would you change? Write it down, say, okay, uh, I may have met probably, I don't know if I would still go in the military. If I did, I would probably go in as an officer,
Hmm.
because even when I was in there, one guy had went to OCS and I think he became a lieutenant. And, I always said to myself, it's like being in there as an enlisted man just isn't worth it. And it just didn't feel like me.
Hmm.
And, so something maybe like that, or maybe not even do that and stay a civilian and possibly become a pilot or, and even when I look into that, there are detriments in being a pilot.
Sure.
uh, they have this thing I was looking into last year about called dirty air, and
Hmm.
some cabins aren't like sealed in a way, and like you get like this, the air isn't as clean as it should be in the cabin. I got to look it up again, but yeah, after every, most commercial jobs have their downfalls.
That's right.
It's like you got to pick real wisely to say, okay, what would be a commercial employment, if not, having a business that would be something that has a longevity that isn't dangerous.
But you know what? There's nothing perfect. If you look back on your life and look at it realistically, and don't think of just all the good things. Think of all the reality. You'll find there's holes in everything. There's no such thing as a perfect case scenario of what you should have done.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, it just doesn't exist.
yeah,
There's always drawbacks to everything. Like I am guilty of the same thing. I'll look back at my life. Well, if I had done this or that, it would have turned out this way. But that's not reality. That's not
yeah,
reality. There's pitfalls all over the place. That's the real world. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
yeah.
It's
Really, regret. This is somebody had wrote regret is possibly the only sin. To regret something, but it's to live with what you did is, and to learn from it. It's just,
hmm
like, wow, why did I do that? Or why didn't I do that? That's the big one. The why
Yeah.
didn't I? It's like those are the things that tend to burn. They burn in like with the fuel of what if, it
Well,
just, Mhm.
a big part of this, the what ifs and our regrets, is a lot of that comes from not living in reality too. I would argue, and one of the reason is it's we had live with regret is because we weren't living in the real world. And what I mean by that is, like, say we know 1 + 1 = 2, and we know that's a logical law outside of ourselves that just exists. But there's also moral laws. And those moral laws, let's just say there's one that says don't be too confident, don't be too arrogant, don't think too highly of yourself. Otherwise you're gonna get humbled. If that's a real law that exists, then if we were aware of that at a young age, maybe we wouldn't have made poor decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Maybe we wouldn't have been so we were all young once. We probably thought we were the shit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like we know it all, and then we end up getting humbled. We don't make the choice that it didn't turn out the way we thought it would.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a big part of it too, not knowing reality, not living in reality of that we weren't evolved apes to a higher order. We were actually conscious spiritual beings, and there's a spiritual lawmaker out there that makes these moral laws that exist, and we just didn't know them, and we paid the price. We learned that they're real, I guess you could say, if we look back on our lives.
yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, I saw something with Neil Tyson talking about the tesseract, the shape that
Mhm.
is supposedly casting the fourth dimensional shadow.
Fourth dimensional cube, right?
Yeah, and he's like, it's so sad because he goes, Oh yeah, we're not supposed to understand that because we evolved on the plains of Africa. I said, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. The ignorance and the arrogance is just like, wow. So anything to keep us from actually searching for the real origin of humanity.
Exactly, and keep us dumbed down.
Yep.
That's for sure. We're just highly evolved monkeys. That's all we are. Nothing else. We don't matter. We're not that important.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah. It's straight. Nothing really matters. Bohemian Rhapsody, you know?
Except for the government and what it tells us to think and feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're minions of the state. That's why you have to be very careful with them. Like Space Monkey had said earlier, that once you recognize them, you have now okay, I got to be careful. This person will try to set me on a path that might not be good.
That's right. And one thing about us, the way we were designed to worship. Whether people agree with that or not, that's fine. But this is my belief. We were created to worship, and they know that. So they want us to worship something, just not a spiritual entity. They want us to either worship the government, worship ball chasers, whatever it is that they want us to worship, consumerism, trying to become rich. That's what they want us to worship. They want to send our worship into the direction they want. They know it's in us and we have to use it somewhere. So for them that makes sense. Worship the Republicans, worship the Democrats, whatever it is.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be something maybe for a different word. What could we supplement that for? Worship
hmm
is definitely one way to describe it. There's no doubt about it.
hmm
But like
Trust, I don't know, trust, belief.
trust, I would say, or maybe a programming,
hmm
like how we like a training, how we train animals,
Yes.
something like that. Maybe a domestication, because we do see that. I mean, the fact that you see the Jim Jones stuff, crazy numbers, his cult followers, we see that, wow, it can be, I want to say cultivated, but is it something that can be like tapped into? Or is it that
hmm
when a human is at a certain point in their life, they're very susceptible to it? Like when they say religion, nobody converts, they have to be mentally sick enough to accept it, or
hmm
mentally susceptible enough might be a better word. I think Nietzsche wrote sick enough, but more accurate, because I can understand why he wrote that with his, loathing for the state and the church, uh, where he said everything the
Which is
state.
justifiable, by the way. I totally justify his dislike for the church. I'm in
Mm,
I'm in agreement with that. So
yeah, and the state. I mean, he said the
yeah.
state, everything the state says is a lie. Everything it has, they have
hmm
stolen, and he's so true. It's like there's no such thing as government funding. It's always taxpayer funded.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like us donating to do something, and then that person saying, "Oh, they did it." It's like, no, you didn't. We did it. We donated to you to
Well,
do
we
that.
didn't really donate it. It was taken from us. Just
Oh yeah,
like,
as far as tax, that's just extortion. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like if it was a GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, that'll be different. But you
Yeah,
don't pay. I mean, unless you don't mind doing jail time. It's
yeah,
choice of
it's crazy. It's really people. You might be right with the worship thing, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Um, Definitely gets people to think, that's for sure. Am I really programmed to worship? Is it in my DNA?
Yeah,
And what am I worshiping right now? Because I feel like everybody is worshiping something.
something. Yeah,
They put something above everything else. That this is the answer. This is the path. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we do see that, and they can get very fanatical with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the worship of ball chasers is self-evident.
That's right.
I mean,
And the biggest one would be the worship of money. The love
yeah.
of money is
Oh, yeah.
definitely real.
I
Yeah.
mean, it can bring in psychosis. We saw with the guy that ended his wife and himself,
Mm-hmm.
and tried to even do it to the to the stepchild, I was like, wow, that is some really crazy stuff. And when I think about that, it's like, man, what is what are we? What is it like? If we know that we're programmed, or we're, what's the word, uh like not exposed, but like we are susceptible in a way. I forgot the word, but we're open to that happening. Maybe we can prevent that, but I'm not sure, because, like you said, if it's like somebody saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to go to," I'm not religious, but then they're constantly into science, and in a way, it turns into a worship of science.
That's right.
And then, like you said, if, like, they claim to be religious, and a lot of people lie, and they're just worshiping, ball chasing, and gambling. And it's like, well, if you're religious, you're not supposed to be gambling like that.
Hmm. Certain religions, of course, you know. Um, I still gamble here and there. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's not saying that somebody can't gamble. It's just saying that if they're going to, like, wear that label
mhm.
of, like, you see people wearing labels of Islam and Christianity, and
Oh
you
yeah,
know, yeah, so now wearing that, it would be hypocritical to gamble. If it's, I don't know I think in Islam you're not supposed to.
yeah,
I
but they're
would,
heavy duty gamblers.
oh
That's the funny
yeah,
part
exactly.
about the thing.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
like,
not supposed to, but oh, they love it.
yeah, so that's what it's just like. It's crazy because you see that with so many people, and it's just like, wow, it's land of the hypocrites.
Well, there
And
is a Bible verse, I mean, that I do agree with that says that we don't battle against flesh and bone, but of spiritual spirits in high places. That's not the exact quote, but it's the general context of it. And
what's the name of it? Do you remember the name, or I could look it up?
sure, I can remember.
What do you want me to look up?
Well, I'll look it up for you.
Or you want?
Bible.
All right, all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the mystery of death, as we were going over. Um, you might
Ephesians 6:12.
Ephesians.
Ephesians 6:12, which states, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms."
So
So
wait,
this
it says not against the powers of this world, or against the.
against, yeah, it's against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against
Mhm.
the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Ephesians 6, 12.
Wow,
6:12.
that's pretty deep. So it's like it's a spiritual battle. It's not a
Yes.
battle of the flesh, basically. It said.
Right, exactly. Like, and this would be a good example. And I'm not trying to boast or anything about myself. I'm very humble, but I can gamble and I can walk away from it in 2 seconds and not go back again, literally. But I believe there's dark forces that can overtake people and get them addicted to gambling and control them. And gambling's just one aspect, but there's many other aspects of this thing. If you worship the wrong thing, these spiritual entities can take control of you and cause, let's just say, addiction or obsession or, all kinds of stuff, even lustful desires, that could lead down a dark path. Um,
Mhm.
so that's been my experience in this world. We do battle against spiritual forces that can control us. I'm sure we've all had a few one too many drinks and said things that we never planned to say and couldn't believe we said to other people. I'm sure it's all happened to us. You know what I mean? We don't know. That could be a form of demonic possession within the. That's why they call them spirits. These liquor bottles.
Yeah, it definitely could be the. I looked up the Ephesians. What was it? Six? What?
6:12. Ephesians six
Okay.
twelve.
Because I looked up some of the other ones that had spiritual warfare and the
Mm-hmm.
armor. So basically, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of the gospel of peace, shield of faith, helmet of salvation, and sword of the spirit. Wow, which is the
Mm-hmm.
word of God. That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That is some deep. It reminds me of Dune. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Dune, the one from the 80s.
With Patrick Swayze in it.
No, Dune had who's the guy in Dune? Kyle
Was
McLaren.
Okay, I'm thinking of when the communists came and tried to overtake the United States, but that was a different movie.
Oh, that's Red Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn. Jeez,
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that's
confused.
crazy. That
Yeah, no, I didn't see that movie Dune. I didn't
was
see
eight.
that.
Dune is a masterpiece, I have to admit. And I remember at the end, he gets a little religious, but they put it in. It's such a deep movie. Like I think he said something of the uh, word of God, like because he became like a super being called the Quizazadarak.
Hmm.
And it's a deep movie, man. And at the end, he's like, yeah, they can't go against that. No one can go against the word of God. And God can take many like definitions
Sure.
to where it's like, is it something with us that has like such a high power that we don't even know we have? I guess some people, the younger generation, would call that like the super saiyan of
Hmm.
their being that can explode out with power. I mean, it really it's food for thought.
It is.
Yeah, when I think about it. And people, I notice a lot of the atheists, the evolutionists, they're so afraid to have a conversation like this.
There are.
It just, and it's like, look, you don't have to be religious. We don't have to be a thumper or anything. It's a speculative thought, like what we did with the thinking about death and saying, okay, uh, we're not sure what it is. There's no definitive scientifically accepted proof of an afterlife, but science can explain everything. We know that for sure.
That's for
And it
sure.
never, yeah, it won't be able to.
Hmm.
So it's like when we look at one thing we can see with other people dying and passing on is that we don't see them, right? So we see
That's
the
right.
change.
Well, even the statement "science can prove all of reality" is by default false because it's a philosophical statement and it can't be proven scientifically. So by default, that statement is false.
Yeah. Scientists can't even tell us what reality is.
That's right.
So just thinking, and I think that's why they fear us thinking so much, because the more we think, the easier it is to break their mind control.
Yeah.
We start to just think, and common sense sets in like, why am I even listening to these people?
Hmm.
And, there is that point of, okay, we would have to be able to figure out, okay, where's our food source, our water, and shelter and clothing. So these are the things that I notice when you look at how they've taken control of those things. Now you see the military strategy that they're using on us, and it's very creepy.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
Maybe
somebody.
I'll come on as on my iPhone because I have to be
Yeah,
ready.
no, that's cool.
I'll come on as my iPhone though.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk when I can. Here
Okay.
I'm on my iPhone. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think about it, it just,
Okay. Not there.
yeah, the mysteries of death go really deep. It's like, where we go after death. Like, what would it be? The people that have the near death experiences, I'm not too sure about that
A lot
because,
of frauds, that's for sure. A lot of frauds.
yeah, it's like, you can't verify it.
Hmm.
To
Yeah.
me, it's kind of like somebody being drunk or having a hallucinogenic trip thinking it was a near death experience. It's like, no, you had an experience that almost killed you or almost sent you into the next realm,
Hmm.
but you didn't go. So there is no, you saw the realm and then came back here to tell us about it. It's like if I was going to come to Florida and I had never been there, and I say, you know, I made it to Georgia, right above Florida, right?
Right.
And it's like, you know, I had a near Florida experience. And yeah, you say, well, okay, well, what did Florida look like when you got there, right?
Hmm.
But you say, no, I never got there. I only got to see Georgia. It's like, well, Florida representing death, you know, the place that you're going to. It's like, but you never experienced it then.
Hmm.
You know, you went on a trip that almost got you to Florida,
Right.
but you experienced Florida.
Right.
And that's what I see logically when people say, oh, I had near death and it's this and it's going to be, you know, this thing. I'm like, how do you know? You're just telling me about Georgia. You're not telling me about Florida.
That's right.
And that, you know, because I look for ways to try to interpret it, because people get very confident in their belief in that.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of NDE podcasts and people talking about it. And I'm looking at it like, hey, that was a deep trip, but you didn't go. You might have been on the train and got close, but you can't see it. If you're in Georgia, unless you're standing on the border looking over to see Florida, how do you really know?
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm sure there's people who've had certain out of body experiences. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Maybe they just, I'm sure once you cross the other side, you're not coming back. I don't think you're hanging out there for a while, then you're coming back. I think you're just,
Yeah, coming back shows me in a way that they didn't cross.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
no coming back, you know? You're not going to be able to come back. I don't see how. Death is the ultimate mystery. That it's like,
It is.
yeah, it remains the greatest unknown that people don't contemplate enough. I mean, this is a serious thought when you think about
It
death.
is. And you got to have an open mind and listen to other opinions because guess what? I mean, nobody really knows for certain. Like, just because I know I'm going back to where I came from, by no means am I saying I know what it's like. I'm not saying anything like that. I really don't know what it's like. I just
Yeah,
know it's not physical. That's all I know.
yeah.
That's all I know, pretty much.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
when we look at the people that aren't here and we
Mhm.
realize, okay, there's people that aren't here that were here, and then there's people that come here, they come in through birth that weren't here.
Yeah.
So both of them, we have the person not being here at one point. One
Mhm.
person is not here before they appear, and the other person is not here afterwards. So they were here, and then this thing called death, this expiration of the physical happens, and it
Yes.
happens in innumerable amounts of ways.
Hmm.
We see the unexplained ways for some people. The cause is unexplained, you know?
Yeah. No, there's no question about it. That's why, I mean, either way you slice it, belief has to be a part of our reality. I mean, we can't just prove everything that is reality. We can't do it.
Well,
Uh,
I think it can be minimized to the point of
mhm.
a thought, because somebody could say they believe. And if I say, look, I don't believe in anything, and
Mhm.
one guy actually asked me that today, and I said, well, he goes, explain that. And I said, well, I either know, I don't know, or I think. So it's one of those three.
Mhm. I mean, what is it you mostly think about with death? Like, I'm just curious. Like, what comes to mind when you think about it? Like,
What comes to mind for me,
mhm.
I'm very comfortable with it. And I think that it's going to be, I think it might even be something like a trip, like a hallucinogenic trip.
Mhm.
It's very hard to imagine. Thinking about death really does stretch the limits of my imagination, because
It should. Yeah, it should.
yeah, what I want it to be, it's like, okay, what if it's like going to sleep and that's it?
Hmm.
You know, because that is a thought to say, wow. And that makes you wonder. It's like, man, all of this stuff that I'm so invested in, you know, something as simple as the paper and the pencil and the doing the podcast and, you know, other things, eating and just the physical things.
Right.
It just, how they seem important, but they're not, you know? And
That's
you know,
true.
it's fun. AP 530, man, you're hilarious, bro. He says only one way to make it through this matrix, colomatria, koalamatria. Yo, koalamatria is hilarious, man. That is hilarious, bro. Koalamatria. Oh man. And you know something, when I think about it, the laughing and having fun, that I think might be one of the, like, when I think about life, it's like, how could you not laugh your way and play your way through it? It seems so natural when we're
Cool.
having fun and laughing. Nothing seems forced. But when we're serious, that's when the tightness happens. So the laughing and just the experiencing in like a joke in some way, I don't know if it was Alan Watt that talked about that. Existence being like a type of practical joke. That, looking at it from these different angles, is really amazing. Like when Sosa came on the show and gave his, you know, because that's when I was like, okay, you think in your belief, you know, and this is where my thinking differs, because you even state that's your belief. And now with myself, I would think about it and say, well, somebody might say, is that what you believe? And I would say, no, not really. It's what I think. So I think that it is something that I cannot comprehend. Now, it might be like that chart. I don't know that I don't know, but I'm actually knowing now. I'm saying, look, I don't know that I don't know, but now I'm knowing that I don't know what death is like, and I will never be able to figure that out. And that's the one person I was speaking to. It was hard for him to like accept that, and it's like, yeah, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, but if we look at things in our life that we don't know, that we have to wait until it culminates, or it, you know, grows or gestates, whatever, then it gives us a little bit more of an insight of what death, what the process is, not what it will be, but the process of like how, when you don't know if your wife or your girlfriend is having a kid, or your kid, hopefully, but you don't know what the kid's going to look like. So it's like, okay, we have to wait. We have to wait. And even when the kid is growing up, the kid could be blonde haired, and many times the hair turns brown. We see that in many instances. We see it with babies with blue eyes. Eyes turn darker within a few months. So it's like looking at something and saying, okay, I just got to wait and see how this unfolds. And all right, we're born and then we're growing. So even the conception, we're conceived in the inside of a body. So and that's like, when we look at that, man, that's a trip. That's a trip to think that we're conceived in darkness in a way, or inside the flesh, and we grow there for months until we come out into this world. White Heat, good to see you. He says, birth, life, death is a cycle. The cycle is clear. I estimate energy has to go somewhere because it exists. I mean, it's an estimation for sure. And again, this is where we can speculate on something that, when people tell me energy cannot be created, destroyed, or, you know, stuff like that, and I'm saying, well, how do we know? How do we know? When people tell me, I'm like, so there's been every test ever done that you know for sure. And we know that's not true. So, as far as we know, the proper way to say it would be, as far as we know, energy cannot be created, destroyed. Now, if that is true, it could go into what Hyperborean was saying, that we always were. There is no creation because it is just, it's always been here and it always will be here. Which he got really deep once. I don't know if that was one of the guys he mentioned, Proclimities or something like that. I forgot the name. But he used to get deep with that. I give it to him. He got pretty deep with that and looking at it from that aspect and saying that, what if it's just, it always was, which is kind of, it is a weird kind, it's pretty odd. It's like saying, okay, so if everything, it just always is, then what is, all right, maybe that's a non-duality. I'm not sure. But, what would be the not? If this is the is, then what is the not? Is there a not? Something where it's not ising. So we're ising right now. We're in the is. And if we go to the next, which would be called death, that's just another part of the is, of what is, this existence, this eternal existence. And again, that's coming from the mind in this realm. So maybe this mind doesn't have the comprehension to even fathom the thought of death in a proper fashion, like the filter of the mind, to where I'm not able to see the true face of reality. I'm only seeing like the triangle. I'm only seeing that one side of the shadow casting the triangle shadow on the wall, and I can't see the others. And that's a very crude explanation, because death would be something just way more, to where you're not even going to have any glimpse of it. I think about that sometimes, like when I sleep, when I go to sleep, sometimes I'm just so tired I don't care and I'll just fall out. Other times I'll think for a little bit, and I'll think about writing, think about the book, and then next thing I know, it's either the middle of the night or it's already in the AM. And death, when I think about it, it's been a long day. When I think about death, I really welcome it. I went to a meeting earlier today, and we were talking about a few things, and I was just like, I wasn't feeling so great, and I was just tired, man, tired of all of this. But then you get tired of it and you say, you know what, man, I just want to lay down and hopefully not wake up. And then you get to where you're like, well, I want to wake up because I like all of this material stuff that I can't take with me. I know I can't take it with me. And but what is the addiction? What is it? It's like, what am I clinging to? And that's what it feels like I'm clinging. Now, I understood this when people were alive that needed me. And it's like, okay, so it's like, in a way, I got to stay alive because my death is going to traumatize this person too much. Now, there's nobody really to traumatize, so it's sort of like, okay, now, the more I think about it, it's like, now it comes into where purpose comes into the equation. And that saying, a life of purpose is the purpose of life. But also is just the being, trying to figure this out. Like you and I talked about the script. That's another framework that we can throw in there. What if it is a script? What if we are characters in a novel, like The Adventures of Tom Sawyer? That would be a trip, because then we can't even change the script. We think we're changing the script. And this is where people talk about that whole free will and everything. Oh, well,
there is some truth to that about the script. There is definitely some truth to that, because we had a choice. We did have a choice when we came down here. We didn't have a choice to come here, but we did have a choice in the life we were going to lead. We picked our own kind of hardships, you could say. Destiny. Well, some people chose the easy path, but some of us chose the harder path. So it is a little bit scripted in a way. Not pre-planned. We still get to choose our own free will, get to make our own decisions. Whether or not we're gonna pay for something or steal it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Be honest about something or rip somebody off. We still have those choices that we can make ourselves. But
Well, could
the
that be
environment,
script too, or no?
no, that the creator gives us, of course, my belief, the creator gives us that option. How he does it, I can't explain how he does it, but he does it. You know what I mean? We still have the option to make our choices here. But we were kind of like, it didn't start here at birth. This was our essence before we even came to this planet. We were this type of being before we even got here. Um, the idea of not stealing or the idea of not taking somebody else out for financial gain. This is who we are before.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were
Really.
Yeah, we were always like this. Like there's certain morals, like they say, you get all your morals from your parents. I call BS on that. There's certain things that you just don't believe are right that maybe your parents never taught you. Same, certainly that's my case.
Yeah.
Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We get the moralistic stuff is like we clearly see that arises in sometimes different ways where you can have immoral parents that give birth to a person that grows up to be very moralistic. And we see the opposite. We see moral parents that have children that become very immoral. And it would take a study or like some really deep thought to think, well, what was the point that made this person is more immoral like this? So are they born that way? Is it preset in the script? Is it something that's learned? Is somehow it influenced upon the person? We do see, in a way, we see the influence where people will influence bad morals upon people, or no morals, really, might be a better way to say it. But with death, as I look at death and we go into the biological part of it, the biological perspective, biologically, death is the irreversible cessation of vital functions. Cellular damage accumulates over time. It prevents the body from repairing itself in some cases. And it ultimately causes organ brain activity to shut down. So usually it's an organ failure that ends the person. And we see the mechanism of the body that seems to be the receiver for the consciousness. Some people experience the near death phenomena, right? The NDE, so to speak, and they have a sense of peace. Some people have that sense of peace, leaving the body, perceiving a transition to an ethereal realm. Neurologists theorize that these are caused by the brain releasing endorphins. And again, they theorize, that's the magic word, theorize. So the brain releasing endorphins, neurochemicals during the trauma, their exact nature remains a topic of scientific and psychological debate, of course, because like I said before, they try to make it seem like they know everything when we know they don't. Basic outcomes can be calculated by general choices and known patterns. Physics does not account for relative parallels. Yeah, physics definitely cannot account for many things, and that's important. We're not dismissing physics. We're just saying that it can't account for everything. And in that uniformitarian outlook that we're taught, that everything is uniform, like when you look at time, we know that events don't happen in a straight line. Things lead to different things that you never thought they would have led to. And they couldn't have happened if you didn't do something that was totally unrelated to what is happening now. It's like I never thought I'd be doing live streams, especially uh, like this. I never thought I'd be doing them about relationships 5 years ago. Doing interviews. I never thought I'd be doing radio interviews on Blog Talk Radio. So, as time progressed, I saw things change. So these different stages is the same thing. Like, we're theorizing about a lot of these things that we don't even know, like I said before, who we are. We don't know what we are. We don't know the capability. Imagine we're in a body and we can think and everything, and we don't know the capabilities and how the functions and everything work in this body that we're in. That's insane. We could look at something simple like a motorcycle or something, or a bicycle, and learn the mechanisms, and we know how that thing works. We know that if, we even know how to like use it in certain ways, like the BMX bikes. But with the body, we don't have the faintest idea. It's like having the superhero suit, but we don't have the instructions to it. And there's a time limit. That's the craziest thing. There's a time limit on this superhero suit that we don't have the instructions to. Because you look at some people, what they've achieved just with the physical body, with the acrobats and stuff, it's amazing. You would think that a person couldn't do that. So we have physical attributes that are just off the scale. I mean, you see guys that have done things with parkour, I think it's called parkour, where they run up and jump all around buildings, jumping, on rooftops and stuff. And some people get messed up doing that. But the guys that can basically run up the side of a building and jump on the top on a 2-story or story and a half is just phenomenal. Now imagine with that physical prowess that we see can be cultivated. It can be disciplined to achieve things that we would normally think can't be achieved physically. That's the physical, which is much harder than the mental. So imagine being able to achieve mental gymnastics like that, increasing the power of the mind to where we can become smarter than we are now to figure out problems that we don't have the current capability to deal with. That's an amazing thought, that we can become that much smarter. I think contemplating death, the only guarantee in life, understanding that that is it. What else are we really guaranteed? Nothing. I've said it before, God will disappoint you before death. Death is going to keep its promise. That is what it is. Some people don't like that. Some people do. But as far as we've seen, for as long as everybody's been alive, whatever, 30, 40, 50 years, we see that it has come to collect every time. And usually when it comes, it's unexpected. Life doesn't care about our schedule. Life is life. It is what it is. It does not care about our schedule. Death definitely doesn't care about it. And one of the things that I think about is we don't know how much time we got, and we don't know how we're going to go. So like if you could like have the ability to say, okay, I'm gonna let you choose one. I'm gonna let you ask the question to get the answer to when you're gonna go or how you're gonna go. Which one would you choose? If somebody were to say, okay, we're, advanced beings or whatever, or it's a philosophical question. How are you going to die or when? I would probably choose when. The how is another, it's a curiosity question because you say, man, I'd like to know how. Is it going to be murder? Is it going to be natural death? Is, an accident, maybe a car accident, or, something. You'd be on a train and somebody might say, well, I don't take the train. I've never taken the train. That don't matter. We already know how life don't care about your schedule. Next thing you know, you might be dropping somebody off at the train station. And for some reason you get on the train that's when it happens. Kind of happens like, in the Carlitos way when he's running for the train and Benny Blanco running up with him. Yeah, how? Good to see you, Forge. Yeah, how are you going to die? So that could try to prevent you. I mean, I would want to know the when. The how, yeah. And that's why I pose both the questions, because it's a deep question. I just thought of it, just thinking. And that's the beauty of thinking, the fact that we can think about certain things, it just, yeah, it really makes me think. But, yeah, man, I just wanted to kick it about like some thoughts on the only guarantee in life, which is death. And it's a serious thought, man. It's a serious thought. I wonder myself a lot about it. I think about it that death could be comforting. It could definitely be comforting. But living a fulfilled life is extremely important as well. Because now you don't have a regret. When I see people with the regrets, that's it's like, man, it kind of lets me look into myself to say, don't regret anything. Life, it is what it is. And every moment you have a choice to go forward into the now, the everlasting. Yo, drew my cards. Death, taxes, and gematria. You guys are hilarious, man. You guys are hilarious. You're forever awake when you die. It could be. It could be, man. Being forever awake when you die. It's a possibility, man. I mean, I wonder, is it going to be sleeping? I mean, sleep, like Franz Kafka said, is the most gentle creature. Sleep is the most beautiful creature. When I sleep, man, it is the kindest, loving thing. It's like, I think it's a religious saying too. There is nothing more sweeter than the slumber of a working man. When you go through the daily routine and you hit that hay, so to speak, that slumber is genuine. It's not like somebody that says they have problems sleeping. It's like, I don't really see people that work very hard have problems sleeping. Maybe working hard with their mind, because the mind might need to be at rest. But physical, yeah, you get a good night's sleep. For me, I definitely see that. It's just it's something that I've experienced that I experience right now, man. I'm tired, um but the philosophical and theological frameworks, as we go into that after the near-death phenomenon, right? That we already said the scientific and psychological debates are still in topic. But the philosophical and theological frameworks, because the subjective experience of death is a solitary journey. So that's the big part, solitary. You get conceived, you come in here, and then you going out by yourself. Doesn't matter if somebody's next to you, but the two of you might not be going on the same journey. Every culture has developed distinct ways to understand this. Theological views range from the belief in an immediate transition to an afterlife. Now, these are concepts where death acts as a state of unconscious rest or a pause before a future resurrection. Again, it's a belief. So it's a belief system. Then we have the Eastern philosophies often describe death as a continuous transformation, comparing the shedding of the physical body to a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, where the soul moves through a cycle of karma and rebirth. I think both of these are good speculations, but we know that they don't know. It's great. It could be some butterfly metamorphosis type of thing, which would be amazing. Understanding mortality provides a lens to appreciate the value of life. This is what I've been trying to put forth, even for my own life, especially for my own.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I understand mortality, the sharper the lens is to appreciate the value of life. And
I have a question for you, MD, when I get a chance.
yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Let's say one night you went to bed or whatever it was, you went to sleep and you had a dream that revealed what happens to you after death. What would you feel? Would you dismiss that dream as just a dream, or would you take it seriously and consider it as a possibility that something was revealed to you? How would you approach something like that?
I would think that the dream is trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
Like not that, because dreams to me work in a way that they work in a way where they don't exactly mean what they say.
Sure.
And if it was revealing that, I would, being a person that interprets dreams, I would think that it's either telling me that's not what it's going to be, or hinting me to something else, but not directly what it's showing me. It is what it is. It's usually the opposite. I've noticed that with dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's I don't know if I mentioned it when Conscious Rising was on, but there's a thing with dreams. If you dream of like certain things, it'll have opposite outcomes almost. I've heard that dreaming of blood, you're seeing blood, that could be victory, but also seeing that it could be other things in a dream could affect that. And this is what I've noticed, that dreams are so intricate. Like you have to be so like really in tune. Like in the book Healing Dreams. And this is why I would look at that dream about death as trying to figure out what is the dream trying to tell me, not just looking at it as, oh, I dreamt this about death, so that's true. It's more of like, wow, I dreamt this about death. What was that dream trying to tell me about death? Is it trying to tell me that this is not what it's going to be like? Is it, what else was there? So I would start to really look into it. There was a dream in the book Healing Dreams where I think one of the pregnant women in Aborigine tribe said that she had a dream of a little ant, like a honey ant, that needed to be taken out of the earth. And the guy
Mm-hmm.
writing the book, he goes, well, how do you interpret that dream? He goes, well, that ant lives in the earth, in the mound, and we dig it out. He goes, so she's pregnant. And what it's telling us, that dream is saying that the baby is going to be premature and we're going to have to take the baby from her. Like she'll have an early birth. So we might have to, like how sometimes a midwife might have to induce birth. Ma, I just saw you. What's up, man? I was on the other window.
Yo,
What's up, man? Any thoughts on death?
well, there's only one guarantee in life, and that's none of us are getting out of here alive. But it's a thing that nobody wants to talk about. It's like everybody's scared to talk about the unavoidable. It's like the elephant in the room, you know?
Yeah.
And I would say, I don't know if you guys have weighed in on psychedelics yet. I remember we had a good conversation about my experiences with Salvia divinorum. And I don't know if that's correct or not, but that would be
Did we talk about that on the air or on the phone?
no, in a private conversation.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it, yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, now there's obviously different psychedelics out there, and all types of people have all types of different experiences. I never did DMT or some of the harder psychedelics, but Salvia divinorum is about the hardest thing I did, where you're getting in when you're doing these 30x concentrates. You know, you're having a, would you call it a near death experience? Maybe. I really don't know, but it sure seemed like that. And now my experience with it was what I would consider to be the afterlife. Now, I don't know for sure. You know, a lot of religious people they seem so certain of their God, of this, of that. But the best thing we can really say is God is kind of a mystery. This is all basically a mystery. Nobody really knows for sure. You know, but you're going into this other dimension. Now, from me, when I would have the repetitive same experience every time that I did Salvia Divinorum, whether it was 20x, 30x, maybe I even did 40 or 50x. I don't really remember. It's been so long. They have Salvia vapes now. Wow. That's pretty intense. Pain is another guarantee. So anyway, you're getting into the Salvia. I had a repetitive experience. The same thing every time. Like I told MD before, it was an Alex Gray painting. For those of us who know who Alex Gray is, if not, you could just Google it real quick and pull it up and see what Alex Gray's artwork is. But that was my experience. I it was You're not in this reality. It's like you are twisting very fast. It's a 5-minute experience into a completely different dimension. It's not like you're high. It's not fun, but it's a life changing experience where you'll never be the same again because you've literally been to another dimension.
There you go.
And once you've been to another dimension, you're definitely going to always question this reality because you're seeing that there is other realities out there. There are other dimensions out there.
Drew Ma, can I ask you something about that dimension?
Yeah, yes, sir, Mr.
What
X.
what's in that dimension? Did you have any particular views on time? Did it reveal anything regarding time?
Well, if you want to talk more about time, my big time experience was actually with mushrooms, not
Mhm.
salvia. So my first trip I ever had on mushrooms, the whole revelation of that trip was that time is an illusion, complete illusion, basically meant to control us. There's nothing real about it at all. It just, and as you get into studying or Buddhism or whatever, you're seeing that, it's all an internal now or one long moment. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that the first time I ever tripped on mushroom, the clocks made no sense to me at all. And they could tell the whole thing was made up. But if we're getting to the salvia, say we're talking the Alex Gray painting, I'm in that with all, and my experience was that this was the afterlife, and I was there with my ancestors, and that all these faces that you saw were the people who came before me and my direct lineage of my ancestors. And I was literally in there at the time with them, and you could tell they were all dead. And the whole feeling was, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. You got to go back. And at that point, I didn't have a sitter or anybody watching me. So, like, now you can still control your body. You're just mind or your brain's another dimension. So that's where it gets dangerous because then you want to get up and move, walk around. You could walk into traffic. People have been known to fall off
That's right.
balconies and things. So if you do this, you want to have a sitter, literally someone to whatever it takes to hold you down. If it's handcuffs or, I know it sounds extreme, but it can be dangerous. Like I
Well,
was,
it's been proven. It's plenty of cases like that.
Right. And it's not that I'm against it. It's just that people need to know how to do these entheogens correctly, and nobody really tells us that. So yeah, you don't want anybody falling off a balcony because that could absolutely happen, and people could die. And then
That's why they have shamans. That's what the purpose of the shaman is, to watch over it. It's not on a trip.
right, and this probably should have a shaman, like you guys are talking about dream interpretation, and then maybe they'll be able to help you understand your experience a little bit more. Because at my point, I didn't really understand it, but you could tell right away, like it was so scary at the end. I probably did it about 10 times, 5 to 10 times. I knew I never wanted to go back there again because I felt like if I did it, it might be my last time.
Mm,
And now some people have had experiences where they lived an entire lifetime in five
I've
minutes.
heard of that. I've heard of that.
That's intense.
That is intense. One guy in Joe Rogan, whether it's true or not, but he said he did 6 months, made a lot of friends, had good relationships.
People
You
got
know,
married and had kids.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And then when they come back, like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean?
And that, yeah, I don't know if I could handle that.
Imagine that growing up, going to high school, go to college, getting a career, getting married, have a bunch of kids. All of a sudden, you wake up. Okay, you're back.
It was a 5 minute trip.
Exactly. That's scary. You think about
Yeah. So people, when we talk about these things, I'm not necessarily advocating for it. Whatever people do,
it. Hmm.
I just think it's a great alternative to suicide or some of the different things that people do. I'd much rather see people have a really good psychedelic experience than
But I
harm
also think,
themselves.
but it also depends on the person. Like psychedelics and me, I know for a fact does not mix. Like
Right.
weed is bad enough, but psychedelics, it's just because of me particular in my certain circumstance. But for other people, it could be great. So I understand that too.
Does weed make you paranoid?
Yeah, extremely. I already have some issues, and it amplifies the paranoia like crazy. And that's just we're talking about a small amount now,
Right.
just a couple puffs, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, everybody's different. And I guess in the past, that's why you had shamans and different things. Now in our culture, we don't really have that. So it's like,
Yeah. So I just would never mess with it because I'd go in a place where I don't belong. It would
yeah,
be a
it's
disaster.
like you said, I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the mind had did that like a good few times. He was listening. Yeah, here he is, Forged in the Flesh. Um, he said he did salvia. I would think many times, and he talked about a few of the trips where I think he might have had the lifetime experience in the 5 minutes type of thing.
Oh my God, if he would like to call in and share that
Yeah,
with
he was like telling us a lot about this, but this was like maybe 10 streams ago. We stream every night, so it was only 10 days ago. So it might have been longer, but hopefully he'll come on. He was just in the chat. Um, yeah, if you want to hop on and let us know about some of your uh, salvia experiences that you let us know about before mine. Yeah, I mean, I've had experiences with the mush and with LSD, and I had one experience with mescaline. Um, I have to admit that the mush, I had some really profound Alice in Wonderland type of stuff. The LSD too. The LSD was like probably some Timothy Leary level. I mean, I saw stuff that you start to say, "Wow, my mind again." The superhero suit that we have. I would look at wood grain, and I don't know if you experienced this on the mushrooms. I experienced more on the LSD that you look at wood grain, and the wood grain would move in the pattern of the grain. So it was like a river just constantly repeating itself in like a circle or a cyclic loop. Um, so, like if you see the grain of wood going straight across like a desk, it would look like it was flowing continuously in a loop. And it was amazing. I would find myself just staring at it. saying, wow. I remember I had a couch in our room, and when I was in the army and on Fort Hood, and I was like, maybe I had to be like 18. It's on a weekend, you work hard all week, and then guys would just go just off the rails. Once Friday afternoon hit, you'd be back in the barracks, people would be wrestling in the hallway. I mean, like, just ridiculous stuff going on beyond college dorm. And so I'm tripping, my roommates are out, and I'm just in the room by myself. And I remember we had this big, like, fluffy couch, and the couch looked like it was bubbling, like getting bigger and smaller, and even having like waves. It was just amazing. And I'm listening to Pink Floyd The Wall, on the stereo, and it was really an amazing experience. And then a couple of other ones, we'd smoke a couple of blunts, be outside drinking like a case of Heinekens, and just it felt like a living movie. Life felt like a living movie. Like in the room, I noticed it would give you the feeling sometimes when you're in a still room, you'd feel a breeze. So it just showed you that reality has so much more to it that we don't even know. And like how you were saying, there's many different dimensions, and that's very much possible. I just saw, like, with my experience, more of an extension of reality, of very Alice in Wonderland like. And the mush I did years later, and I had I would say more of a psychedelic, colorful experience with that. When I closed my eyes on the mush, I would see patterns, these beautiful, like, I don't know if kaleidoscope is the proper word, but I mean, just amazing patterns. One time I was tripping, I saw like a miniature, like what appeared to be holographic feline goddess that was kind of close to Sekhmet, which is in the museum. But this was years before I ever went and saw the statue at the museum.
Like a cat.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. So this is before I even knew what Sekhmet looked like. And I later on I found out, and I said, wow, that was like what the entity that I saw against the wall when I was looking at the wall. And there was three other friends, and we tripped in a way where we're like, okay, we're going to take these mushrooms. We have about 10 oranges and apples and some fruit. We got water, tea. We got vitamin C in case anybody starts tripping too hard and wants to bring themselves back. Vitamin C and stuff can kind of lessen the effect. So we were prepared, and I had a mini disc recorder. I said, all right, we'll record, because it could record 5 hours back then. And I might still have the recording, but we got very quiet, and we did it the way I think was supposed to be done. Because one time I remember doing the mushrooms, and my friend Juan Carlos was like, all right, let's take the train and go into Manhattan. And I'm like, what, are you out of your mind? And he was older, so he was very used to just going all out. He grew up in the Studio 54 days and stuff. And those mushrooms hit us so hard. We were sitting in my apartment, and Pete, the guy that gave them to us, came over like an hour later. And we're sitting here and we're looking at, like, I had like these empty water bottles, and we're just like, the whole room became like spiritual. And when Pete came over, he sat down, we were talking, we were like, yo, man, those mushrooms are pretty good. And then we told him, look, man, when you walked in, it was like, we felt like you were stepping onto the moon. It was like we were already in, we didn't even know where we were. It was such an amazing experience that, yeah, it really, Timbo, good to see you. He says, rotating mandalas, I've seen them too while on mushroom. Yeah, man. I saw something one time that would look to be like boa constrictor. Like I had my arms folded and my head, like when you put your head down on the desk on top of your folded arms, but I was leaning against the kitchen counter, and I was folded my arms on top of that, and I'm like bent on top of it, just with my eyes closed, seeing like these would appear to be like how when you see a snake constricting into like just moving into itself, and these amazing triangular patterns with like the boa constrictor snake body around. It was just, I was like, holy smokes. I said, this is a deep, deep experience. And then I went to take a leak, and I'm looking at the bubbles, and the toilet is so clean. Everything's clean and white, because I always keep it clean. And I'm looking at the bubbles form in the toilet as I'm, urinating, and the bubbles are forming with geometric blue and yellow triangles. And I mean, it was just one of the most amazing trips that I had with shrooms. And Samuel says, on shrooms, I've seen the flower of life, but humongous in the sky, and it was moving. Wow. Shrooms are, Terrence McKenna said, a psilocybin mushroom has more spirituality in it than all of the churches on planet Earth. And I think he's right.
Yeah, and there's a mystery about it. You don't have the answer. You're just experiencing it. You don't really know where it's gonna go.
But Drummond, no, I was just gonna say, Drummond MD. In your experience, is it a real dimension, or is it just a chemical reaction in your brain? What's your final conclusion?
Well, I would say with the salvia, it's absolutely another dimension. Like you are, like, it's weird. As soon as you smoke it, your neck starts turning, and you literally twist your way into another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And now mushrooms, you're still in this dimension. You don't like leave your body. Like, how would you say that, Mr. X, where they call it like this? It's layered on top of this reality. But like, can't remember the terminology for it when you have this reality, but you have another reality layered on top of it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, like a popular term now with AI and computers and all, but
sentient.
No, it's like mushrooms is layered on top of this reality. You're still here. It's just
But you're seeing things in this reality that you couldn't see before.
Or like you're seeing that it's something you see, like through the fabric of reality.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you can see
so
through a wall. You can see through a wall. Can you see through a wall?
Able to. One of my mushroom experiences, like you said, we went down to the beach, and it was a little heavy. But on the way back, as we got close to the house that we're staying at, I had 360 vision. I could see out of the back of my head.
Mm.
Now, was that me like looking down at myself? Like when people say they have a near-death experience, but either way, I could see all the way around.
Yeah, like an outer body experience.
Yeah, it was an outer body experience, or did I have 360 vision? I'm not sure how to describe it best, but I could absolutely see all the way around me.
I think that's one of the powers that we have.
Right.
The mushrooms unlock.
So would you call that the fifth dimension? What do we call that?
I would say that is like what you just said, an outer body experience, and that's an amazing thing. See, we're somehow we might look at that as well. It's not a big thing. So you're seeing yourself.
Yeah, like, it was just high. No, it wasn't just high. Like, you could literally see behind you. Like, I don't have eyes in the back of my head. Like,
yeah, I would tell somebody, well, okay, tell me what you see behind your head right now. You can't do it. So it shows us that it is a big thing to say it's either it unlocked something that was in your mind that it gave you the ability, or it was the mushroom that has that type of effect, that technology or that synergistic effect once it's taken by the human being to see that. And, it makes you wonder what, like I said earlier, what our body is capable of. So, like when I saw the stuff, like I had a star map on the wall, and my friend had a very short haircut, very like close to his head, so you could see the shape of his head. And I looked at the map on the wall, and then I looked at him, and the map was transferred to his head. So it was if you wrapped his head in the star map, and you're seeing the constellations on his head now. And I did that with my eyes, looking at the map and kind of copy and pasting it onto his head without meaning to do it. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, holy smokes. And I'm saying, wow. So I have the ability to look at something and then to take that image with my eyes and paste it onto something else and look and see how it would look on that object, regardless the shape of the object. And that was I think after I was looking at the wall and I saw the holographic feline goddess, the felineness, or however it would be said. And I mean, I think that the mush unlocks certain things that we can access that we don't know how to use, like using our mind to make the light brighter. Because I remember tripping with my friend Jay, and I go, did you feel did the light in here get brighter? And he was like, yeah. He goes, it definitely seemed like it got brighter. So I said, so that's not really a hallucination. So either the light got bright. See, this is the thing. So now I'm looking at it saying, all right, either my mind made the light brighter and it was visible to both of us. His mind made it brighter and it was visible to the both of us, or both of our minds did that. But I noticed it by myself before too. But in combination, see, this is the good thing about my trips with the mushroom and the LSD is I've done the trips by myself and I've also done them with people. So that was it gave me a very broad range of scientific study with it. Like when I was in Amsterdam, I took the mushrooms about 15 years ago, and I was hanging around the city, going to the red light district. I was just like having a great time, going to coffee shops, and I remember me and this chick went to this club, the Outback in Rembrandt Square, and we were eating the mushrooms. I put them on the table. I had them in like a wax paper that I had got them from the store because they sell them in the store there in the smart shops, and we're sitting there in the nightclub eating them off the table because I was like, wow, this is amazing that the people aren't really saying nothing to us. And then when we went to go light a joint, the lady goes, hey, we have like a lounge over here. If you guys could just, stay in the lounge when you're smoking. So we're smoking in there. The mushrooms are kicking in, and her girlfriend's with us, and she gets lost. And it's hilarious because, me and the other girl just hanging out. And it was a great experience. It was a really great experience that I had out there. And I did that a few times out in the city, but I enjoyed the heavier trips when I was alone. I definitely, I definitely.
Amsterdam seems like a great place to get high too, doesn't it? It seems like I've seen pictures of it, videos. It looks like a beautiful place to get high,
Yeah. No, there's definitely Amsterdam was when I went, it was a great place to get high. Plus, I got along with a whole bunch of people that were there. Like I was hanging out with hookers. We would go into coffee shops because I treated them like human beings. We'd be sitting there picking out the dudes. Like they hit me to so much stuff. They were so cool. And we'd be eating chocolates and strawberries, smoking joints, and just
it's a good temperature. It's a nice place. It's greenery, and
I went. It was still a little damp. I think it was in a March when I went. So
that's a good time to go. I went to England at that time.
Yeah, you had to wear a jacket. Like I wore I was wearing like a Nike sports jacket, like a sweatsuit type of thing. And 1 or 2 days it got a little cold where I had to wear like a light jacket over that. and then other like one day maybe it got nice enough to where you could wear a shirt, but it was
It
just
seems like a better place than New York City, you know, to
oh,
get
it's
out.
way better than New York City. Way it was the only place I felt that the police was there to protect me because
Yeah.
one time I was tripping on the mushrooms. There's a place called the Milk Veg, and it's right across the state from the police station. And I went there, and I remember my lawyer told me to go there. He goes, "Hey, when you go to Amsterdam, check out the Milk Veg." He goes, "It's right across from the police station. Really good place. They got good hash and weed." So I was like, "All right." And I was tripping on the mushrooms, and it was like two or three cops across, and they came over and they said, "Hey, you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, I just ate the mushrooms and stuff. And they go,
Mhm.
"Well, you have the bench right here if you want to sit down and relax." And it was like just so cool.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, and then there was another time when I met two guys from Eindhoven and we're talking and they're like, "Hey, you're from New York?" We're standing there talking at the front of the red light district and this Dutch girl is in the window because the girls are all in the window. And I think she was mad that, she wasn't really getting business and she called the cops. Like first she came out and she started saying something in Dutch and one of the guys, because they were from Holland, they said something back to her and they go, "Oh no, she's just angry that people ain't, trying to act like because we're standing here talking that's why guys ain't going to her window and
Mm.
giving her service." But and she was like she wasn't a bad looking chick, like a regular blonde or something, nothing special. And
Right.
and she must have called the cops because next thing I noticed, I said, "Wait a minute, two cops are walking by." And then one cop comes by on a bicycle and they're just really cool. I mean, like detectives. They were
Yeah.
in regular blue uniforms, but they were acting like detectives. I said, "I know what these guys, they're casing us right now." And they observed the situation and saw that we weren't doing anything wrong and left us alone. And when
That's the way it should be. That's
yeah,
the way it should be.
I said, "This is beautiful." And then finally, after about 40 minutes, this guy comes up. He's like a stocky guy, maybe about 5'7", and he comes over and he's like, "Hey, what's up? You guys, like you need anything?" And we were just leaving, we were just walking away, and he started following us, and I go, "Nah." He goes, any like ecstasy or any type of drug. I was like, "Nah, man." I said, "Look, I just came here to, buy some weed in the coffee shops and experience it in a legal country." And the way he saw, he must have been her pimp or something. And then he goes, "Hey guys," he goes, "Look," he goes, "just be careful around the girls." And I think the way he said it to me was, "Look, they'll set you up real quick to get
Real.
whatever." So the fact that he saw that, that she was overreacting, I was like, wow. So yeah, the experience I had with the police there was great. In South America, I didn't see the police.
Hmm.
I remember there was one point my friend took me to a place and I definitely got like a feeling like I got a feeling like in that scene in Goodfellas when he told her to go in the store. He's got dresses, and it looked like, they probably would have murked her if she went in that store.
You got the
Right.
negative energy vibe.
She was like, "No, no, thanks, Jimmy." I kind of felt that like when I went. I
Yeah.
said, and I left early. I actually was going to stay there for a few months, and I bought a ticket. And he kind of made a comment, and I said, "Wow," because we were good friends, but hey, things can change. You're in a third world country. You
Mhm.
get to see somebody where they come from. I had already been to the Caribbean many times, so I kind of knew. The one disadvantage was I didn't speak Spanish, and Uruguay is one of the countries where it was hard to find a menu in English. They don't care if you don't speak Spanish. You just better find somebody that does. And Argentina is a little different, and Brazil is much more friendly. Like on the border of Uruguay and Brazil, the people were so cool, like very, very friendly. But again, that's some people. There's Sao Paulo, a lot of people get robbed and killed and stuff, Rio. But then there's got to be good parts too. But yeah, that I didn't really experience them there. The only time I really felt like in Canada when I went to Montreal, um, It felt kind of neutral. I, I don't I don't remember specifically seeing any cops. The border was cool. When we came back over, this chick came back with me, and yeah, they searched like everything. They had us like in the room, and I told her, I said, yeah, I said that's basically how America is, and so yeah, a lot of places I went to, they were pretty cool. They were Amsterdam was the best so far. England was kind of neutral. Nothing really.
I mean, I like London. I thought it was a great
Yeah,
city. But
London.
Amsterdam looks like the place to get high. It looks
Oh yeah,
peaceful, looks nice. Everything looks great about
also with women and stuff and hanging out, man. It was my
it.
friend went about 5 years ago. He said it changed a little, but it's different for different guys. Yeah, the Guggenheim Museum. Yep, that's where that. Yeah, and yes, indeed, I put those things down many moons ago. I mean, yeah, they try to push people. Yeah, the
Yeah,
effect.
someone was asking about Joe Rogan. I don't know if you've seen that
Where is it? Where is it? Let's
comments.
see.
And there it is. From
This is it.
up.
Oh.
If you see it on your screen now.
Still confused as to why shills like Joe Rogan or his comedian compatriots advocate for the use of psychedelics. What could they be planning? Are they trying to help people or something else? I think if you advocate the use of psychedelics without prepping the person, it could be detrimental. Like you can have, but if you know what you're getting into, it can be a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and it's a lot of information, and we're not here to give any health advice or anything, but for example, if you do mushrooms, like weed will help take you into the experience. By smoking, it's going to ease your digestive cramping or any digestive issues you might have because mushrooms are poisonous essentially, and it's going to help take you there quicker. For example.
Mm-hmm.
But there's all types of different entheogens and plants. Most of them you need, like Mr. Hector saying, a shaman or a babysitter.
Yeah.
At least somebody to make these things need to be properly done. But I don't think Joe Rogan, even if he's a shill now, if that's people's interpretation of him because he's doing all this stuff with Trump or whatever, I could understand that. But in the past, I think he did a lot of good by bringing some of this stuff to the light. Like he would have like Dennis McKenna on his shows, and
Dennis McKenna.
yeah, that's Terrence McKenna's brother. He's still alive.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah. So obviously, if you guys know who Terrence McKenna is, he's probably of the Westerners, probably I don't know your most well renowned person who used psychedelics, as far as not maybe what he did, but as far as his ability, like he would say, to bring it back to society and then to be able to elaborate and explain it to people. He would say, like, yeah, you're going out and you're catching a fish, but you still got to bring that fish back. Or yeah, I think that's how he explained it. You got to bring that fish back and then be able to explain it to people, or you're not really helping anybody. But yeah, I think the use of psychedelics, guys, has been going on for thousands of years. And has it helped us come to the consciousness we're at now? In my opinion, probably. You know,
I mean, it could. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that the mushroom itself either could be a form of technology. It
right.
could be another life form that bonds with us. So
It
these
feels like an alien. A lot of times, I had an experience where I felt like it was like an alien almost.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, when you look at the plant world, and the mushrooms are kind of in between. The fungi world is like a blend, plant, animal. And you look at, there's a plant, I forgot what the name of the berry is, that when you take the berry, you don't feel the sourness from lemons. So you can take this berry and chew it up, and it does something to your taste buds that now when you bite into a lemon or you squeeze the juice, you won't feel the tartness of it. And there's another berry that does that for like hot things. So yeah, it's Space Monkey says, yeah, it's like a radio dial, he thinks. Um White Heat Truth says, I knew a gamer dude who did a hefty amount of ayahuasca. He was a far out space nut who I concluded did one too many. Excessive amounts are damaging. I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think switching stations, yeah, some of the stuff definitely has the switching
Yeah, I
stations.
did have it on to went schizophrenic because of LSD, and I don't know what the specific drugs, but definitely hallucinogenics. You went
Yeah,
schizophrenic.
the moderation. And like we said, we're not advocating anybody for doing anything. This is just expressing the experiences that we've had on
Yeah.
psychedelics and different type. I don't know what salvia would be classified as that. Is that a psychedelic or a deliriant or,
Yeah, it's a psychedelic.
okay. I'm scared to do that. I have to
You
admit,
should
like,
be. You should be.
yeah,
You should be absolutely scared to death because it's not like weed. It's not a gentle teacher. It's not like mushrooms, which is a like a meat. It's still pretty much a gentle teacher. It's a slap in the face. And if you really want to talk about a
how
near
many
death
times did
experience,
you do it?
I did it probably 7 to 10 times, I guess. Like
And it was all smoking it?
yeah, I would smoke it out of a pipe.
Wow, because they were giving it away for free at the head shop about 20 years ago. I remember this chick worked there and she was trying to give it to me. It was like in these little packets, like these foil packets. And you know, it had the it was commercial. It had the name printed on it, like a picture, and it was two blades, two leaves, it looked like. And when she opened it up, and I guess is that what you had? Like it looked like leaves, or
Well, the one X, if it's a green leaf, that would just be like your regular Salvia divinorum, guys. That's just like it'll make you trip, but that's not that strong. What I would do to really trip, if you're really trying to go to another dimension or whatever, you're doing the extracts, and they have various extracts. 10X would be 10 times the strength of the plant, then sprayed back on the leaf, and it's black. Then you go to 15X, 20X, 30X. I think I was doing anyway from 30 to 40, 50X. So that's 50X would be 50 times the strength of the regular plant, if that makes sense to people.
holy smokes!
So you're literally, so you're literally,
That's some crazy. What's the most you did?
I don't know. It's been so long. I guess 40 or 50X. But the stronger you do, the more intensified the experience. The quicker you get there. Still only about a 5 minute thing, but yeah, you're there, and that's the thing. You know, like then you got to kind of get into quantum physics, and then it gets into this. What is this like? Say you're a cat or a dog, like we might be in the same reality, but are they in the same dimension as us? All the dogs get lost the most on the 4th of July because of the fireworks, because the hearing is at a different frequency than ours, you know.
Mhm.
Or a cat, for example, you know, like the Egyptians worship the cat, but isn't a cat having like a different experience of this reality than us? Like they're not these animals, like a dolphin doesn't, they're living, even though we're on the same planet, they're living on under the water, we're on land. Like I
Yeah.
guess you could say it's the same reality or the same dimension, but I
Different
doubt that a
experience.
dolphin has the same, anywhere near the same experience that we do. It
Yeah,
could
but
be in a completely different dimension.
there is a study that shows the puffer fish, right? The toxin that it produces can give a mild hallucination depending on the amount that you get. If you get too much, of course, it can end you. but the dolphins have been seen making the puffer fish puff up to excrete this, so it looks like they're getting high off the puffer fish, and the way they act afterwards. So there's a lot of look at cats with catnip, clearly getting high off of catnip. You see the effects before and after, and how they're all like laid out, and looks like they just smoked a couple of joints. So animals get high. That's the most amazing thing. You have two instances right there: cats getting high, and dolphins getting high. Now I'm
And then
pretty
you get
sure.
into something like an octopus. It's got what, 9 brains or 8 a brain in every limb, and it's all going back to its central brain. And I
It's
mean,
got like 3 hearts.
yeah. So
If you look at an octopus, see, when you look at stuff like that, there's just no way. When people tell me about the evolution religion, I'm like, come on, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, you look at some life forms, and it's like just the mathematical probabilities of something forming. It's like there's no way something is just forming like that over billions of years. It couldn't
And
happen.
we're not related either.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I mean, the octopus and a cuttlefish, the fact that they will do those flashing patterns and, almost hypnotic to hypnotize their prey.
even
Like,
a peacock, I would say, is very similar to an Alex Gray painting. If you see
yes,
the way
yes,
the peacock displays their feathers, it's the same faces you'll see on a Salvia divinorum trip.
yeah, yeah,
Mm. But the pufferfish also, and it's in Haiti, I think it's believed that they're using that to turn people into like zombies because there's something in the pufferfish that'll paralyze the whole body and they'll think you're dead, but you're not. you
yeah.
know?
You know what gets me about that whole story is how does somebody, I don't see the way somebody would just figure out that you can take the bones of the pufferfish or whatever gland it is, powderize it, desiccate it, dry it out, powder it, make it into the concoction that when blown into the face of the person zombifies them. How do you even, there's no way you're just going to figure that out.
I agree. 100%.
Somebody had to tell them, like, listen, this is what you mix. This is how you do it. You know what I mean? It's like,
I think it's spiritual entities personally. Same thing with the scopamine in Colombia.
yeah, the scopamine. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a beautiful flower. It's a white flower. But how would you know that? And the root of that, you can take it and you can make somebody your slave. You know what I mean? How would you know?
Yeah, it's like it really, well, and this is the odd thing that shamans of the tribe say when they say, well, how did you know this? And they say the plants told us. So they claim that the plants will actually speak to them, or maybe the spirit of the plant or the part of the plant that communicates. I mean, plants have sentience that to me goes beyond humans. And anybody can read The Secret Life of Plants. They can look up videos on it. Plants have there's so much documented accounts of sentience, consciousness in plants that exceed what we have in us. Like I'm talking to a point where it's almost clairvoyant, and they can feel us and feel things around us, feel other life forms. The Secret Life of Plants explains it very well. That book is like, that's a really deep book. I recommend people. It's invaluable almost. It just some of the stuff they talk about, and how he talks about how when you have a farm that works in conjunction with everything it works in synergistic, like diseases and stuff are suppressed naturally. He said they wouldn't even be able to control hoof and mouth disease, I think, with cattle, all natural without any type of chemicals or pesticides.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the natural world and how it works together, like certain plants, when you grow them together, they grow better. Like I think it's beans that pulls nitrogen from the air and fixes it into the ground. So those plants that do that are called nitrogen fixers, and then there's plants that pull nitrogen from the ground. So as somebody who knows about botany and how to grow, you would want to grow stuff that is, you have nitrogen naturally in your fertilizer, and the plants that use that up, the next crop would be a nitrogen fixer that puts it back into the soil. And now you have regenerative crops. This is amazing when you look at it. You don't have to use pesticides and it feeds itself. So yeah, the secret life of plant. When I look at like the fact that uh, plants will grow better when you sit and talk with them. They have feeling. They have feelings. Like if you're kind and considerate and loving to a plant, you see the response in immense growth. This is documented like many times over. Also, there was a Japanese scientist, I think, that created he created a a shield that took out the harmful rays of the UV lights from the sun and fed, I think it was CO2 into these tomatoes, I think it was. And the cherry tomatoes grew like much more robust. Some of them even reached the size of baseballs, which these tomatoes are usually the size of, say, a 50-cent piece, or at most a silver dollar. But to get them to grow like the way he did, it just it showed that the care, cultivation of plants yields immense comebacks. So yeah.
No, I definitely think, yeah, like you're saying, the information to know this knowledge, I don't think it's the human mind. I think it's the spirit.
Yeah.
Spirits communicating with people, because even scientists, there's documented cases of scientists. I believe they get their information from, the ones who did major discoveries
Yeah.
from spirits. I mean, John Hammond in Manchester, Massachusetts, he has a castle out there, the Hammond Castle. And he's known for having seances. And this guy was a head scientist. He was friends with Edison and Bell and even Tesla. And they used to do seances in that castle. He had over 400 patents. So, no, even in the science community, let alone the Native American tribes, it all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
How would people ever come up with this stuff? Especially when you're dealing with electricity, or you're dealing with it on a cellular level.
Yeah.
You're dealing at such a level that there's just no way. Even Einstein, with the relativity of time, I don't see how you could figure that out in a three-dimensional space. I really don't.
Yeah, he tried to say that it came to him through a dream. That he had a dream about I don't know if it was sheep or something, but again, there's another theory that he worked in a
Patent office. Yeah, he might have copied it.
So
but even the person who did come up with it, it's just, how do you do that in a three-dimensional space?
You're not gonna.
Because they weren't traveling the universe to do their tests. You know what I mean? To see the difference in gravity and the speed of light to really confirm everything. And
there's something.
Across,
It's just not going to happen. You look at just like technology in itself. It's like you're not going to figure out how to heat up a rock and extract iron ore from the rock. That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
An ape is not going to be cracking rocks making iron ore. And passing it on to humans. That just the way they look at things just happen by chance. Like natural selection, there are no examples, because when you look at it, you start to say, so wait a minute, so the giraffe's neck is that long just by chance, just by chance, and then it kept getting longer, and it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, and I think it confuses people from thinking about the real matters, like death. It's that guarantee. Yeah, it's.
I know you mentioned in the beginning of the stream how most of the people you knew had already passed away, and it's like, what's the point of me being here? But that contradicts evolution, because in evolution it should be survival. It's all about survival. So that thought you never even crossed your mind. It's just about surviving. That's all it's about. We're just hardwired to survive. But the fact that we can think that way means we're not hardwired to survive, that there's something more to us than just the physical. We're not just trying to survive. We have another purpose, another meaning. We need a purpose. We need a meaning for us to live life. And that contradicts evolution in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's clearly contradicts it. House plants, bamboo, ivy shoots do better with a better fish. Yeah,
better fish.
Yeah, the fact that there are plants and animals that
Mhm.
they do better with each other. It has a symbiotic type of relationship. I think it's fascinating, man. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's actually what I'm going to do when I get my permanent place because I'm still renting. I'd like to get plants with fish in it. I think that'd be a great setup. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's like, just looking at stuff like that, it can be healing.
Sure.
Kind of, bamboo, amazing plant.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate, everybody here. Yeah, much love, Jen. Always. It's when I think about the beautiful things in nature, and I'll do some more videos on them. I'm gonna start making videos and stuff, trying to get it in schedule. Today's been long. Yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep. I thank everybody in the chat, man. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mr. X, for coming on. Drew
Hey,
Ma,
thank you for having the stream.
definitely. And yeah, tonight, well, Tuesday night, I'll have something good. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Have a good night.
Good night.